Hey gamers, welcome to our module review for today. Now the module I want to review for you today is an old one. Probably had this thing in my collection for, I don't know, 35 or so years, and it's called Temple of the Frog. And you can see from this illustration that it has got some dirt and other marks on it, but that's alright. Inside still looks great. Now this adventure here is one made for Blackmore, one you don't see much if at all anymore, and notice the character levels 10 to 14, so you know you're going to run into some things pretty tough. Now before we look at this front cover picture, let's go to the back and see what it has for us right quick. So if we read over this little section, it says Green Death. That's what old hands called the Great Dismal Swamp. For centuries this tangled maze of sluggish watercourses, stagnant ponds, and festering marshes has defended Blackmore's southwestern frontier. Large armies and smaller parties have disappeared altogether inside its vast, dripping, claustrophobic corridors. Among those who have dropped from sight in this arboreal hell is young Rissa Elford, one of Blackmore's most important leaders. Carried off to the sinister city of the Frogs, she is now being held by the eccentric monks of the swamp. By making the Baroness captive, the deranged monks have seriously weakened Blackmore at a time when enemies already threaten it from all sides. Yet even as the Froggies gloat, the King of Blackmore dispatches a small band of bold adventurers to the rescue. Deep in the Great Dismal Swamp they must go, far from sunlight and sanity, there to seek and save the captive Baroness from the foul monks of the swamp, there to find the Temple of the Frog. So that gives you a little bit of background information on what's going to happen. But if we go back to the cover picture, notice what we see. Now look at these frogs right here. Obviously not what you'd expect to run into ordinarily. And look at the teeth on these guys right here. You know that's going to be nice big damage. Then we've got our adventurers. Look like we've got one here with some type of magic sword, maybe a rogue. But check this guy out in the back and look at what he's got in his right hand. Looks like he might also have another one in the left hand. That looks like some kind of blaster rifle. And you think, wait a minute, D&D module? Where in the world is this coming from? So to see what this is all about, that picture right there's got just enough to really pique your interest. Now again, we've got this Temple of the Frog hidden in this swamp. Character levels 10 to 14, gonna be tough. Notice it's a really high character level for what you see most of these. So the opponents are going to be tough in this module. First of all, you're going to search for this missing person you see right here. Early on, the PCs are recruited and told that someone of importance is missing. After an extensive search, no trace of him can be found, but rumors of a frog cult have been found. A town local has admitted that he has been approached by a member of this frog cult, but claims he wasn't interested. Through threats, this person has agreed to try to arrange a meeting with the player characters and the cult recruiter. It's hoped that if the PCs can be recruited, then they can discover more about the frog cult and find the missing person. This cult order is called Order of the Frog, so that gives you a bit of background information on its own right there. Leaders, monks of the swamp, so you can already think of what type of encounters you're going to have. Froggies are the nickname given to the cultists. That's how the commoners who know of them have just given them this name. Adventurers are needed to locate the missing person and find the location of the cult. A military force will follow the PCs into the swamp and hopefully destroy the cult after the person of importance has been rescued. There's a large amount of background information given in this introduction to this module, and there are more than just a few non-player characters to keep up with. It's going to be a lot of work for the DMs, so they'll need to spend plenty of time doing their homework. For the PCs, this isn't a hack and slash type of adventure. This would be more for those who'd like to take their time, investigate, and find the best way to accomplish their goals. So they're going to have quite a task set ahead of them. So after being recruited by the good guys, so to speak here, to find this missing person, the PCs will be told that the person who is missing has been taken back through time. That's one reason no trace has been found of them. The PCs will pass through a magic portal, and they're going to time travel back 4,000 years. We're talking a long way. That's something you don't see in your average D&D module. Now the PCs will really start to wonder what's going to be waiting for them on the other side. The group is reminded of their mission to find the missing woman, rescue her, and report the location of the cult to the awaiting military force who's going to secretly follow them in. The PCs are told of the frog cult slavers and the slave trade they're involved in. The group will find it best to be recruited by the Frog Order, find the missing person, and escape. But as we know, things don't always go as planned. The PCs get recruited, and they're going to head to the Frog Temple. We got a new picture right in here. The PCs can arrive in two ways, as recruits or slaves, depending on how they've acted. If they enter as recruits, they'll be welcomed as guests, and soon after, the re-education of the PCs will begin. You know what I mean by re-education in a cult. You can read between the lines there. If they enter as slaves, a much worse fate will await them that we'll mention here in just a second. After the PCs reach this city of the frog, goal one is complete, so they found what they're looking for. They quickly discover this isn't just a temple, but a city with hundreds of potential enemies, and not just a few, but several. Many hours of game time can be used by the PCs walking around the different areas of the city. They can gain information in this way, but shouldn't be too suspicious. If they are, somebody's going to catch on. Now things are going to start to get good as they investigate. The leaders of the cult, now get this, are aliens. They are actual green-skinned men. Who better to lead a frog cult than them? They crashed here in the swamp about 5 years earlier in a spaceship and took over the cult after deciding they may be here for a long time. The leaders, that is to say aliens, are actually using genetic technology to build a race of super being frogs. They are half human and half frog. That is the fate of the slaves entering the city. How surprised will the PCs be when they start to mutate into a frog person if they entered as the slaves? There'll be plenty of laughs from there. The aliens have a light green, froggy color to their skin, and when they arrived, actually used their translator badges to talk to the locals. Think like the communicators in Star Trek that they have on their shirts. The aliens convinced the frog cultist that they are the new leaders sent from above. The alien technology that they have is seen as impressive magic, so many follow them. Those who don't suddenly disappear. The PCs will discover that the aliens have a device which is used to modify the behavior of the locals so that they're obedient. It's a high-tech brainwashing machine the aliens have. This also makes it so the recruits can't be charmed into telling any cult secrets. Another reason they've been so successful in their secrecy. The genetic manipulation creates half-human, half-frog hybrids and are to be the new people of this world after all the others have been conquered, so they're definitely ambitious. The leaders of the cult and others have rings, which are an electronic technology. It allows them to open doors and also control killer frogs. Now, this is not to be confused with the frog people, but they've actually made large killer frogs like we saw on the front of the module. Hundreds of aggressive killer frogs have been bred as an army to use against the humans. So there are hundreds of cult members, hundreds of killer frogs, mutant frog folk, and aliens with advanced technology, including weapons. So let's look just a little here at this frog city. Here we can see a little map picture right here. Now there are four main areas. There's a temple compound, temple gardens, an outer bailey, and Frog Town. Electric lights light up some of these areas at night. On the walls, they'll surround all the land entrances to the city, and many guards are found at the water entrances too. Alien electronic rings are needed to enter many areas, and soldiers will be posted everywhere. The PCs may also encounter slavers, slaves, a frog town with inns, taverns, and other buildings there. The Frog Temple is full of alien technology. We flip over one more here, we've got a picture. The rooms have auto-electric lighting, so when the PCs walk in, the lights will come on. Power cells fuel all this technology. There are electronic security doors. They'll need one of the rings to get through many of these doors. Get this, there's also air conditioning. Guess the aliens don't like the hot, swampy temperature. There's indoor plumbing with hot and cold running water. Now this is actually in the module. There's an intercom system where they can talk to each other over large areas. There are security cameras and monitors, so someone in a monitoring room could be watching many areas at once. There are actually computers described in the module. There's medical equipment, alien blaster weapons, think Star Wars and the blasters there, Alien battle armor, very tough, and even a cyborg to encounter too. The frog temple itself is big. It has 6 levels above ground and 2 dungeon levels below. That is 8 total. That's a lot. And the dungeon is where the freaks really come out right there. Now, hopefully the person they're searching for will be found and the PCs will escape Frog Island. That's their main objective right there. The military force that's waiting outside is waiting for an opportunity to attack. If they do, the cultists will be destroyed, and then all the PCs can be returned back to their own time, or they could even choose to stay in this one right here. So if you want a new type of D&D module, try Temple of the Frog. It's a great one. Here even shows a picture of some type of large alligator encounter. And of course, if you want these, many of you are probably familiar with Drive-Thru RPG or DM's Guild. They both got it for $4.99. If you want something that's totally new, think about aliens, mutant frog people, blaster weapons, and so on. You want something new for your players, this one has it. For $5, it's more than worth it. I hope you all enjoy it.